People say that I conned them after getting out of prison. Yes, I did. Not going to deny that.
Yeah.
It had gotten to a point in life whereby I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't do anything. And just having gotten out of there, nilikuwa na hiyo ujuzi. I did wrong. I'll never ever say that stealing from someone is right. Those are the guys that tunaitanga malaya wa jela. And there are many. So they don't even know that A gave it to me, B gave it to me, C gave it to me. That's why I say I'm glad I had the money. I could have become homosexual, but thank God I stuck to drugs. Throw meat at a dog, that is an askari jela. That is a prison officer in Kenya. And that is what I always say. Even if I meet one walking on the road, you throw 20 bob at him, he'll run for it. I don't blame them again because it's the way they are. Failures in school, not enough salary, and then lots of loans. I mean, there's some officers that I've seen literally, okay, they call me shy in there. Shasi unisaidia na 50, mshahara haijaingia. Shasi unisaidia na so, nataka ulipa kitu fulani na.
Rashi, welcome back.
Thank you.
How are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good. Yourself?
I'm good. Umeshinda jizi siku kadhaa tumepoteleana.
Poa tu.
Umekuwa poa.
Ng'ang'ana na maisha.
Maisha yakupelekaje kama Muhindi in Kenya?
Muhindi in Kenya? Yeah. Muhindi maskini in Kenya.
Baadhi watu walikuwa wanauliza mbona uliamua kujiita Muhindi maskini channel yako?
Because Wahindi wote wako na do na visina.
That's the reason.
It was the easiest name that came up in my head, so why not?
Oh, kama kujita
something that's catchy, something that no one would expect.
Currently unafanya nini to earn a living? Because kwa show zetu kulikuwa na few questions and a few concerns.
Two comments that I singled out on. First of all, I've not talked about my case as to why I was taken to prison, all of that, because I have a legal issues outstanding in court.
Yeah.
So I promise that once that case comes to an end, I will do a whole show about that, because there's a lot that has to be said about my case, etc.
Yeah.
Secondly, people say that I conned them after getting out of prison. Yes, I did. Not going to deny that.
Yeah.
It had gotten to a point in life whereby I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't do anything. And just having gotten out of there, nilikuwa na hiyo ujuzi. I did wrong. I'll never ever say that stealing from someone is right. I know a few of them were not that well to do, and hopefully with this content creation I'll be able to pay them back. But if you're watching this and I conned you, all I say is I'm sorry.
Sorry for that. You're doing it for a living.
To survive.
To survive. Do you wish to talk about how you're doing the conning and all that?
When I was in there, I don't mind, but about after getting out, I just did two small things. Well, not small, but two cons. One was tenders and the other one was promising people that I'll send them away for work. I said, please, let's stay away from that till I finish off my current court case, please.
And then you can talk about it.
Yes.
All right, great. Now, we did not finish about the conning game in jail.
Okay. So I gave a highlight, more or less everything, what I did. So I carried on with that conning right through my duration in Kabiti. It was a lot of money, but I repeat, I'd lost it because I had no chance of getting out. 2018 is when a glimmer of hope came up, when people started getting resentenced. I got resentenced in 2019 to 20 years in prison. Up until then, I had got nothing to live for, so just waking up, conning, drugs, and even though I was doing narcotics, I managed to get a diploma in law and some other certificates. But after getting out of prison, I've learned that they've got no value because nothing can override the certificate of clearance from DCI.
Yeah.
So without that, you can't get a job. I've been doing some legal work since getting out, but one, there's a lot of competition. Two, there's not enough jobs. So the few that I've done, you get a couple of thousand here, there, but because it's paralegal, you're doing it for people that are disadvantaged in society. Yeah. So you don't end up getting paid that well.
Great. Now, last time tukipiga story about your conning games in jail, while you were in jail, ulikuwa unatuambia how you managed to get away with several conning games.
Okay, so first of all, no one knows your name. Okay, I'm going to get stolen IDs to register SIM cards with. I will make sure that the money is clean, so even if the person reports the money has been stolen to Safaricom or M-Pesa or whatever, or Equity, I'll have, the money will be out in cash with someone that I know, someone that I trust. What I need for my daily spending inside prison, that person would send back to me. I wouldn't keep any money in prison apart from what I need for emergencies. Getting away is just recently, after I got out of prison, that I've heard of people being arrested for conning, stealing while in prison. If the arrests and all of that had started sooner, then the scamming wouldn't have gotten to the level that it did. But it's the government. Nothing can be done about that. And the few people that have been arrested, how are you going to say that this is the person who conned me? Even if there's a trail from M-Pesa or statements, etc., you can easily bypass that. No court is going to rely on that evidence very heavily unless they want to be punitive. Like the first scam that I've ever heard of while I was in prison, first scam that happened from inside prison, was someone sold a ship like we have in oceans, to a Japanese guy for 25 million shillings. I don't know how far that story is true, but I think it is, because if you look up in past media reports, it's there. So you can imagine how far back, and that was from, I think, 2006. That's when scamming started in Kenyan prisons. 2005, 2006. I wasn't in prison at the time, so.
Yeah. How do people get the stolen IDs in jail? How do people manage to get those IDs?
You've got 24 hours to think. A human mind is very creative. There's no way. I told you, as I came up with my story for Happy Birthday, the message that I used to send out, it was just fine polishing it. You just come up with something, because I told you, looking at the M-Pesa to wrong number, you won something. It had become so saturated. I mean, every other person's doing that. Yeah. So why waste your time, your credit, and you're not going to get any money? That was my opinion. Yeah. And there's people right now that have come up with other ways to con. I was speaking to someone in prison about 2-3 months ago. Yeah, 2-3 months ago. One person came up with a story of selling a bridge, actual land. Got photos, got everything, and apparently the person ended up getting about 40 million out of that person. But that matter is in court at the moment, so I really don't want to go into it. But it truly happened. Someone got into the box and transferred 40 million shillings to someone's bank account. as you said, another thing, be very, very careful. Whoever's watching this, be very careful of your documents. Your ID card, your ATM card, frankly everything, even your face at the moment, because many online apps don't even need IDs today. All that they need is your face scan. You get your face scan, you lose a lot of money, and even if you don't lose money, you'll end up losing your identity, which is even worse.
Yeah.
Because someone can go and open an account with it, they can put stolen money in there, and you'll end up serving time for something that you don't have any idea about.
Something you don't know. When talking about being in jail, so many people are in jail and you find they're not guilty of the mistakes they did.
I look at it this way. There's two kinds of innocence. There's one that did not do the offense, like a 70-year-old being in prison for defiling a 10-year-old. It's naturally not possible. Physiologically, as a human being, it's not possible. And then there's the other, whereby people are charged with a wrong offense. You could be walking down the street and someone snatches your phone. There's a part of the law that says snatching, but that person ends up being charged with robbery with violence, which carries the death sentence. Snatching carries, I think, a maximum of 3 years. So there's those two big discrepancies in the law, and the police have to be taught about that. The police and the Director of Public Prosecutions.
Yeah. The people being charged for the wrong mistake.
Offenses.
Wrong offenses. And sometimes people are charged innocently.
Yes.
So, did you ever interact with someone in jail who was sentenced for a mistake he didn't do?
Who was?
Who was innocently charged?
Innocently convicted.
Yeah.
I'd like to correct you over here. Jail is where you are taken as a remandee. Prison is where you are taken as a convict. So in jail you have got a few more rights.
Yeah.
According to human rights, you have a few more rights, but in Kenya they're not applicable. So in prison, yes, I've come across many people that have been convicted when they're innocent. And a couple of cases ended up committing suicide while I was in there. But majority just say, I am going to prove that I'm innocent, and just build up morale from there. And majority of them do end up getting out. Like a recent case that you told me that you did of someone, an old guy that was innocent. Yeah. Yes, you have instances like that, but I told you, it's either you accept your circumstances and fight with what you have, or give up on this wonderful life that God's given us. So,
yeah. Now, back to prison now. You served in 4 prisons in Kenya.
Yeah, industrial area, Committee Main, Naivasha, Committee Medium.
Now, let's start with Committee Medium. You said Committee Medium is one hell. What happened, or what is the experience that you got from?
Okay, I come out of Committee Main, where prisoners are given a certain amount of freedoms because they're serving long sentences. So the authorities also know that, I say in Kiswahili, kukanyanga waya, it's like it's a bomb that's about to detonate, or a landmine that's about to detonate. So they have to balance between the two.
Yeah.
Whereby in Committee Medium, it's the total opposite. The authorities, okay, corporal punishment was banned in Kenya, I don't know when, but it's been banned. It's still practiced in Committee Medium. There's officers like Mwai, Karanja, Benjamin, Ali, and the list goes on. Even the officer in charge, I've seen him hit prisoners, which is against the law. But because the prison is, not closed, but the prisoners don't have any avenue to voice their grievances, they just get suppressed. Okay, in Committee Medium, majority of the prisoners go to work on the farms, the prison farms, and you can imagine farming with a hoe and axe or a panga in this sun for 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day. with armed escorts. If you're not doing your work properly, you're hit over the head with a stick, or even worse, you're tied up to a tree for the whole day, and you're tied up by prisoners. You know, there's these people that are called trustees, the ones that wear blue. They think that they're officers, and they're not. These are the ones that have sexual intercourse with cats. But they're the ones that would tie up another prisoner on a tree when they refuse to work. Why? It's an officer's job. And then, worst of all, there's snakes in farms.
Yeah.
Poisonous and non-poisonous. There's nails, there's other implements. But prisoners go to work in flip-flops, in butter slippers. How does that look? Some of them don't even have shoes. The ones that have come in for being drunk and disorderly and have been sentenced to a week or 2.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to enter the prison with your shoes. You don't have anyone to call to bring you a pair of sandals or slippers or shoes to wear while going to work. Sukuma maisha vile inakuja. Hivyo, but it's not fair.
So in a nutshell, what's the main difference between committee main and committee medium?
Okay, committee main holds prisoners that have got 10 years and above of their sentence remaining or death row. Committee medium is 10 years and going under.
So how do you find yourself in committee medium?
So when I was sentenced in 2019, I'd got like 2 years and a couple of months remaining on my sentence.
Yeah.
So in line with the prison regulations, because it was 2 years. If it had been a couple of weeks, I would have stayed in committee main. Because it was 2 years, they took me to committee medium.
Yeah.
And that's where my road to sobriety started.
In committee medium.
Because in there's no, okay, you've got cigarettes, you've got cannabis, you've got shash, you've got all those tablets like C, Attain, blah. But there's no like hardcore drugs. I know bangi and cannabis, shash are hardcore according to the law, but in prisons, that's normal. That's nothing.
Ni kitu ndogo.
Yeah, kitu kadogo. Apart from, there's some officers like Karanja who like to stick by the law, but again, he's got his own story for sticking behind the law, which in my opinion makes no sense, but that's him. Another thing in committee medium is that uniforms. If you come in for a week, your uniforms are in total tatters. And they're dirty. I mean, totally dirty. And then you have a ward, a hall, meant for 60, 70 people, holding 140.
One hall.
A hall that would hold, I'd like to put it to you in terms of mattresses so you can, I explained to you last time, the single blue mattresses that you have,
Yeah.
it can hold 64 of them.
Yes.
Okay, so on one mattress you're supposed to sleep 2, that's 128. But it was actually meant for 64 people.
64 people.
Because you're not supposed to share a mattress.
So another question. You've talked about trustees. How does one qualify? How does one become a trustee in jail?
From what I've seen, the more you bribe. You go and bribe some officers, you become a trustee.
What are some of the privileges? that
Food,
trustee-
you're opened up early, you're locked up last. If there's something to be done, your priority. It's like when you're askari nusu. It's like you haven't been given the crown and you haven't been to prison training college. But I've told you in committee medium, they tie up prisoners to trees, which is an officer's job. So why?
Your worst experience in committee medium?
For going to the cell. I was taken to the cell 4 times.
Yeah.
Each time for a period of 3 days. But that's like you're in a cell. It's dirty. You can't shower. Your food is half. So if you're given like a bowl of ugali and a spoon of beans, now you're given half a bowl of ugali and half a spoon of beans.
In the cell now?
In the cell.
So what makes one be taken to the cell inside?
Or if you're found with anything that's illegal, and what is illegal is what the authorities deem to be illegal at that time. I've seen people go to cell because wearing caterpillar shoes in committee medium. I've seen people go to cell because of half a roaster. I've seen people go to cell like me because of phones.
Phones. So you were taken to the cell thrice?
4 times.
4 times. What happened?
I was caught with phones.
Or in all the positions?
When I entered committee medium, I know that smoking is illegal, but I had an unspoken agreement with the authorities that they're not going to deal with me when it comes to cigarettes. I told them I'm not going to stop. I've been in prison for 10 years.
Yeah.
I've not stopped till now. Just because I'm in committee medium, you're not going to make me stop smoking.
You'll continue smoking.
And it worked.
So you're allowed to smoke?
Well, kama umejificha. Not in front of officers, but if they find one in my pocket, they're not going to take it. If they find my breath smelling of smoke, they're not going to reprimand me. And even the phones that I was caught with, it was only like 3 officers that I had beef with.
So ulikuwa na beef na askari jela?
Yeah, why not? It's a society. Everyone doesn't have to get along. As I told you last time, askari ni yule, ukimrushia nyama, you throw meat at a dog, that is an askari jela. That is a prison officer in Kenya. And that is what I always say. Even if I meet one walking on the road, you throw 20 bob at him, he'll run for it. I don't blame them again because it's the way they are. Failures in school, not enough salary, and then lots of loans. I mean, there's some officers that I've seen literally, okay, they call me shy in there. Shasi unisaidie na 50, mshahara haijaingia. Shasi unisaidie na so, nataka ulipa kitu fulani na payslip inasoma 0. If you go on my YouTube channel, you see I've got a photo of a askari eating a prisoner's meat. That's how hungry the officer was.
Ni kubaya hivyo?
Kubaya. Hata kama mfungwa ako na shida, hata askari jela ako na shida zaidi. But shida ni mfungwa anajua kuongea. Askari akiongea anaweza vutwa kazi.
Yeah, true. So your worst experience in committee medium ilikuwa kupelekwa cell?
Hiyo cell ya committee medium, there's no light, so you're bitten by mosquitoes all night.
Yeah.
They made it in such a place whereby there's a lot of concentration of officers around there. I know you can deal with 1, 2, 3 officers, yeah, even by bribing them, whatever. But if there are 10, you don't know who to start with. Like maximum, I've gotten myself out of trouble for together was 4 officers. But then again, the price goes up.
Yes.
Because wameshikana.
So there are these myths and misconceptions about life in Kenyan prisons. Number one, the first thing I want us to address is this issue about wanasema in prison unahesabu siku, days are counted day and night. Like for example,
no,
you have fair
it's
jail.
not counted day and night. Okay, so I was given a 20-year sentence.
Yeah.
So you automatically given a third as remission. So 20 years becomes 13 years, 4 months.
20 years is 13 years?
4 months.
4 months.
As long as you don't have any prison disciplinary actions taken against you.
Yeah.
That's why I had 22 days added to my sentence.
22 days. Huyo ulipatikana na makosa?
Sio tunikueleza, I was found with phones.
Also when you're taken to the cell?
You have certain amount of days deducted from the 1/3 that was taken away.
Okay. So there's no day and night. Siku mzima lakini sasa wanapunguza kidogo.
You can't say day and night. It's like you're supposed to be that time that you're sleeping, I guess, because a human sleeps for 8 hours, which is a third of a day. So I'm assuming that's what's taken away. I don't know the logic behind that. Because in England, okay, let's not even go to England, South Africa and Uganda, they give 50% remission. So if you're sentenced to 20 years, you serve 10. If you're sentenced to 1 year, you serve 6 months. In Kenya, if you're sentenced to 1 year, you serve 8 months.
Yeah. Then back to, you said you're sentenced to death. Then you're given 20 years.
Okay, so in 2017, 2018, because the number of prisons serving death sentences in Kenya had gone up so high, they commuted our sentences to life imprisonment. And that's when we even got the glimmer of hope of resentencing, the order by the greatest Chief Justice of Kenya, Maraga. I'm not saying that only because he got me out of prison, or he helped get me out of prison, but a lot of his other rulings as well have been very, very, what's the word? Very, very good.
Yeah.
And then you've got others that are anti-rehabilitation, like Martha Koome, who's come and put a stop to resentencing in a judgment, in my opinion, makes no sense for rehabilitation. Because why would someone want to rehabilitate if they're never going to get out?
Yeah.
That was my situation up until 2019. I mean, I told you, drugs, conning, okay, the education was there, but it wasn't like it was something important to me.
You had lost hope.
Serving death, what hope do you have? I mean, if I told you right now, you're going to be in this building for the rest of your life, how would it, even for the viewers, how would it make you feel? Wouldn't you give up hope?
Makes sense.
And that's why you have a lot of other stuff that comes with this, like homosexuality. I always say, okay, fine, sexual intercourse is a need of any animal. We are one of them. That's why you've got homosexuality, that's why you've got man marrying man in prison. That's why 70% of the HIV cases that are found in prison have been contracted while in prison.
You talked about that HIV being in the prisons. How is this done? Maybe through homosexuality, or how is it
sexually done? Only. HIV cannot survive outside the human body for more than a few seconds. So someone's come, you don't know you're HIV positive. A prisoner knows he or she is not, doesn't know whether they're HIV positive.
Yeah.
Ameangukia 100, 200, 500, depending on the rate of the day, ile mwanaume amempenda, yeah, etc. Aenda elewane. They do whatever the business is.
Yeah.
The young boy or the recipient falls sick, finds out he's HIV positive. But now, those are the guys that tunaitanga malaya wa jela. And there are many. So they don't even know that A gave it to me, B gave it to me, C gave it to me. That's why I say I'm glad I had the money. I could have become homosexual, but thank God I stuck to drugs.
Another misconception is ufai kuua chawa.
That's bullshit.
Ukiwa jela.
That's bullshit. Si unaua.
But ni sheria.
Nani amesema?
Hivyo ndo tunajua, hivyo ndo tunaambiwa. Ufai kuua chawa ukiwa jela. Nothing.
That's to scare you. I mean, if you see something coming at you, you're not going to kill it. That's crap. Nothing like that.
What was the experience with chawas?
Kabiti main, okay, now this is where you get the differences. In industrial area, because everyone in the block that I was in was long term, so you insist on your personal hygiene and those around you. So your cell is like washed every day or every 2 days. Blankets are taken out to be aired or washed frequently. Same in committee main. Committee main is actually cleaner than industrial area, because I'm not getting out of here anytime soon. So rather than allow an infestation of chawas, you just deal with it before it comes on. Committee main is the opposite.